I'm not going to be as funny as Sid on here. Like, I just want to start by saying that the chemistry is not going to be as funny as you and Sid. So.
Okay.
Don't expect that.
Word to the Witch.
Hello, this is Lindsay, Florida Witch, with Word to the Witch, and my lovely fiance, Brandon Caskey. So this is like an impromptu episode because we've been watching a lot of cult episodes, and by cult episodes I just mean, documentaries and docuseries on various cults.
Somebody asked me a good question this morning on my page, and I figured we could start with this, but they asked, is religion a cult, and what's the difference between religion and a cult?
That's a big question because I know that there's like a lot of similarities to the naked eye, but I feel like a cult, oh man, that's actually really hard.
Yeah, it is.
Are you having a hard time?
Well, yeah, and I actually read a couple articles about it. The biggest quality between a cult and religion is time, because religions are accepted by the mainstream, become more stable in time, and cults are passing.
I mean, a good response to that, because I am going to kind of stand up for religion, because there's so much that's sacred within that, and after watching these cult docuseries, I'm like, there's no way they're one and the same, but I think that if you stare at something long enough, you know how it kind of goes blurry and things blur together. I feel like that's the conversation between our religions, a cult. I don't know. You could stare at me long enough and be like, she's
a cult lady.
in it. Well, I was gonna say alien, but yeah. I don't know. I think that the thing with that I want to talk about a lot with this is how these new age spiritual cults that are coming out, i.e. Twin Flames universe. Yeah. We just binged that, and there's so much similar messaging and verbiage that people are using to this day.
Ascended levels of consciousness. 5D.
Yeah.
Yeah, disclaimer. If you haven't seen Twin Flames Universe on Netflix, go watch it immediately.
Go watch it immediately.
It's about two people. It's an active cult right now in the U.S. that started a basically online community and course program to help people find their twin flame, which is a big fucking promise. And it started off as just these online courses, then turned into a pyramid scheme where they created other coaches that sold this Twin Flames program. And then it eventually led to them convincing people to change their gender and to stalk and follow people that were not interested in them, to the extent of not denying themselves their twin flame. It was insane.
It was literally insane. But, it was sickening to watch people force others to question their gender identity, which is not fair. That's actually, I talked about that a little bit on my stories about how that's actually the opposite of the message of the trans community. There was even a member that was trans, and they were just like monopolizing on her transition. It was sick.
I feel like the biggest motivation behind them being pro-LGBT was just that their group was mostly women. And so
totally.
they eventually changed their dialogue from like, your twin flame is out there somewhere, to eventually it became more of a closed group and was like, your soulmate is here.
What they were doing is they were saying, okay, well, you have to go through all of these courses in order to be a coach, and then you still have to do these courses to be a coach, and then you make money, but you have to buy these courses. So it's just people were spending their money, putting it back in, and that's cult behavior. It was an MLM.
Well, I thought this one was low-key kind of genius, and very much 21st century because of the conjoining of the religious cult aspect and the multi-level marketing. It was like an evolution.
That's everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's like
they are doing that everywhere all the time. They prey on something that's familiar to you. So then you got people with religious trauma, half of them, and they're like, see, this is kind of similar to what you're used to. This is your comfort zone. Come over here. And it's like, one of the things that I learned was, if your spiritual advisor scares the shit out of you, then there's something where you need to run away, because that's never supposed to be the case. And that's always been the case within like these cults, is, such a fear of the leader or doing the wrong wrong thing. And I'm just like, wow, like, why would you sell this new age spirituality with like some old school religious
money? Well, because I was thinking about it, and what all cults tend to do is they take something really familiar. We've all been programmed on some level to accept certain religious ideologies and principles and things like that. So they take something real familiar like that, and then they just add a little bit of something over here that pulls it a little bit further, and then in everyone's desire to find and seek something new, and I think most people have this feeling of like not resonating with the masses, it makes it very alluring to like go in this other direction.
I had a few people tell me that they fell for it, and I felt really bad for them.
For the Twin Flames one or different ones?
Different ones. There's like a gajillion of them, and they're like, I paid $12,000 to get this certificate that says that I'm like certified in this person's Instagram handle, and because they have over 100K followers, it's like supposed to be prestigious. I was like, so I can make a course called Florida Witch Divination and give you a certificate and charge for it? No fucking way. I don't know. I think what makes me like the opposite of a cult leader is I really don't have the energy to be that social anyways, so I don't understand it, and I definitely don't gravitate towards those kind of people. If your coach has anything to do with physical health, something that's tangible, I think that is notable, okay? Even on the spiritual end of things, like herbalism and being a doula, or even Reiki certifications, like all of those things are valid, but like
when they bring up words like ascension or things
when
like
we're talking about selling certifications and just like being an energy healer, or one of the main things is shamanism. But do you know how fucking rare it is to meet and be in the presence of an authentic shaman? I don't think I've ever been in the presence of an authentic shaman. And that's one of the main things that I see all the time is like selling certificates for like shamanic healing and like all of this shit. And I'm just like, this is so far-fetched, because
people should only be selling tangible result things. Anything that's like a divine thing that they're selling, like a twin flame or like enlightenment or ascension, escaping the matrix, all these
enlightenment can't be sold. End of the discussion. I could teach a class on how to read tarot, and like that would be okay. Selling a certificate that says that you graduated from my school, that's a little fucking crazy.
I know you and I say that we're twin flames all the time, and it seems so outside of my control that like buying a course on it just seems insane to me. But I know that everybody out there's just seeking answers on some level, so it's no judgment to anybody that's partaking in that, but just that promise seems wild to me.
It is totally wild, because it's like twin flames, don't get me wrong, like I love the label, I know that it exists and like I'm in that relationship, but it's like, let's call it what it is. It's a very loving relationship where you kind of feel like there's this major push that's outside of you, whether it be from God, the creator, nature, energy. There's an energy that's pushing you guys together, and that's what we feel. But making it this whole thing that they did is so crazy.
Yeah, what was great about the documentary was that none of the people's twin flames relationships seemed desirable at all. None of the relationships were anything to be desired, and it's like you could put the label twin flame or soulmate on a relationship all day, but if it's not healthy for you, if it doesn't bring you peace or make your life more fulfilled in any way, then what the fuck
are you doing?
Of the y'all can be just bad soulmates at that point.
If you sucked, I would leave.
Yeah.
If I sucked, I would leave. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. But anyways, it's been like such an interesting deep dive that we've doing.
Oh yeah, you're gonna talk about the mother god.
Yeah, so there's another one called Mother God.
Episodes coming out.
Basically, she is self-proclaimed, Mother God, and like the savior of the universe. She's God, but mother. And so her and this band of internet live stream people, she just accumulates, you know, all of these lost boys and lost girls, and they're doing the whole new age spirituality, you know, traveling around, being poor,
giving all your money to her.
Yeah, and raising donations through live streams.
Drinking colligated silver, what was it called? Something like that.
Collidial
silver.
Collidic silver, some crazy shit. Anyways, it turned them all gray and blue.
Turned her blue, turns her skin blue.
And you're watching her
go through spiritual psychosis.
Psychosis and then go into real life liver failure from the alcohol.
Oh yeah, this was great. So one, I loathe all spiritual groups that are just a bunch of dipshits doing psychedelics and drinking and smoking all the time and then acting like they're ascended to some higher form of consciousness. What you're doing is escaping reality. So that's just number one. I loathe all of those things. But they were saying that she was such a spiritual figure that none of her medical conditions could be explained by 3D doctors. The term 3D and 5D also fucking makes me want to pull my hair out. But none of her symptoms could be explained. So I started looking up all the symptoms of liver failure from alcoholism, and it's all these things that she's getting: rashes and her feet swelling and losing weight and all these things that are clear byproducts of substance abuse, eating like shit, drinking liquid silver. Like, is the most insane shit.
You know, last night I really wanted to make this point when we got on here today, that the New Age spiritual cult sells you to work on your spiritual body and then your reality will change.
I love this point.
But that's not true. The way that it goes is you have to view your reality as something spiritual, fix that, and then basically anything above the head will get right. They're reaching for almost like
the most abstract.
Yeah, the most abstract ideas, and also it's kind of instant gratification spirituality when you decide to just like skip ahead, do the substance abuse. It's really trippy actually to watch people living in squalor, right? And being fucked up on meth and then saying that they are ascended, but their reality doesn't match that at all. And so that's going to be a big thing that people sell you on, the idea of manifesting altogether. But manifesting and co-creation is when you do the work, and any person, any witch, I mean, I have a lot of notable great witch friends that would all tell you the same thing. You light the candle, you make the intention, and then you show up, right? So it's just like this idea of manifesting something that just like shows up on your doorstep while you just live in squalor and don't make any, you know, changes in your life. It's just like instant gratification, and therefore I would actually go so far to say it's dark, because the light work, any like true light work, will make you do the work. Light work will make you show up for yourself and for your loved ones and all of these things. I think it's important to, when we're humanizing spirituality, to notice the magic that is in everyday, because there's magic in saying sorry, there's magic in making a smoothie for yourself, there's magic in cleaning the house, there's magic in applying for that job that you're scared to, there's magic in starting that business that you're scared to. It's about doing things that you're scared to in good and bad ways, and overcoming that fear in your reality to manifest and co-create the life that you are worthy of. Now, I think that it's a byproduct of fear to skip ahead because you're scared to do the work.
Yeah, because you're unhappy with your reality. I think that's where a lot of it originates from. It's a red flag to me when anybody just jumps from drug abuse, psychedelics, anything like that, to I'm an ascended, enlightened person, because you haven't gone and lived with the real world. Like Ram Dass always said, when you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your parents.
One of Ram Dass's guru, Maharaji. There was that story of him popping like 12 tabs of acid and being completely fucking unfazed. And the point of that is that this person, without all of the substances, made it to this point where it's just like he's just totally unfazed by any of that shit anyways. His life is the ayahuasca trip. Shout out Lucas Mack. He has a great testimonial with the breath work. You know, those things are holy shit. I watched that content and I'm like, fuck, fuck, that's real. And it feels real when I'm watching it. All of these natural ways, meditation, again, applying for the job plus meditation, like that's what we're talking about, is having like a balance of doing, 3D practices as well as the spiritual practices, and then that's when you climb those stairs gradually and on time. If you skip ahead, that's when that psychosis shit happens, so
people start to think that they're Jesus or
yeah,
God incarnate. It's important to find spiritual practices that don't have a downside. Like the problem with drugs or psychedelics and all that thing is that they also, on the other hand, come with feelings of shame, regret. For me, anytime I did drugs, no matter, even if I had a good experience on it, afterwards I felt this tremendous downside. And so with things like working out, meditation, the breath work, all of these things are just naturally, they're available to everybody. It doesn't matter what your tolerance for acid or ayahuasca is. It doesn't matter any of those things. They're accessible to everybody. And that's why they're important, because when you learn a lesson through that or through a practice that really helps you with no downside, you can go share that. My Lucas Mack experience was really crazy. Basically what happened was I'd already done one breathwork session with him, and he basically takes you through an intense breathing exercise while he walks you through a meditation. And so I was in Nashville working on music, and I drank some alcohol one of the nights, and I woke up the next day just feeling totally like shit. I'd been on this path of sobriety and working out and stuff like that, and so I missed all my disciplines, and I was like really feeling really bad about it. And so when I came back before I worked on this album, I told Lucas, hey, can you come to my house and let's do a session? And so he came over and walked me through an hour-long deep breathing meditation where he coached me on how to breathe throughout it. I had such an intense experience. It was psychedelic. It was visually out of this world. I was crying. It was this really intense experience. It was all just through the way that I was breathing and him walking me down this path. That is something that's really powerful because there was no downside to it. It's something that I could learn and bring into my daily practice. And yeah, there was just no downside to it. And it was just as vivid, just as intense as a psychedelic experience.
I just had another cult leader come up in my head, Teal Swan, when she was asked what her credentials were, her past, how she got into anything, things like that. Very defensive, majorly defensive. Like, how dare you ask me what my experience is or what my qualifications are? That's a huge red flag.
For me, I was drawn to somebody that had the qualities that I was searching for. That was like number one. Was that
yeah,
I wanted to be like them. When I look at them and look at their life and I hear them speak about their principles and their moral compass, it all resonated with me, and nothing sent off my red flags of like, I don't want these qualities. And there are people to learn from that maybe you take the things you want and discard the ones you don't, but I think with a mentor that's important. One of my mentors, Wes Watson, he's a fitness coach, entrepreneur guy, and to me he was one of the most profound like teachers in my life, and it's because he gave all the information for free. He uploads a video on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, has never missed since he got out of prison, and all of it really resonated. And when I finally like paid for a mentorship, it was really just to find out what my macronutrients are, get a workout program. Those were the things
that's
that I
a
paid
service
for.
too.
Yeah,
that's
all
like
of the
different.
Yeah, all of the spiritual things came really for free. Like those were all available, and so it's like you could go learn from somebody like Wes without paying for a program, because you can Google your own macronutrients, you can Google your own workout programs, but it was really the principles that he was speaking that resonated with me. It's just interesting because a lot of different, and not to discredit any of the other spiritual leaders that I've listened to, like I'm a big fan of Ram Dass and Eckhart Tolle and lots of them that have Sadhguru that have influenced my life over the years, but Wes was an interesting one because...
But you like Joel Osteen.
I actually do like Joel Osteen.
I know.
Well, I was gonna say Wes was interesting because we'll get into that in a second. I was gonna say Wes is interesting because he was like this tattooed dude fresh out of prison, and so it's just interesting that it doesn't have to look like anything. Like I learned a lot of really deeply spiritual concepts from him, and he's this tattooed prison guy. Yeah, let's talk about Joel Osteen. I'm gonna be honest. This is like a topic that we always laugh and joke about because
guilty pleasure. Yeah,
I'm super anti mega church pastors. I like go to church every once in a while.
You can't say that if you like Joel.
No, but hear me out. It's a disclaimer.
He's the same.
So I go to church here and there with my mom, but every time that I go to church, it just doesn't always do it for me personally in my spiritual journey, and it seems one-dimensional to me. And the mega church pastors, especially, like ever since we watched Righteous Gemstones, I can't stop laughing at them.
It's the funniest show I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
it's Righteous Gemstones, the show on Hulu where they just clown Danny McBride clowning mega church pastors, and it's super accurate and funny. And I always looked at every mega church pastor like scam artist, scam artist, scam artist. But for some reason, Joel Osteen, I can't even publicly say how, like I don't even ever publicly say when I listen to him, but every once in a while I'll just throw on a Joel Osteen sermon and ride to it. I'm not going to donate money to his church. I'm not going to get involved in any of that. I'm not going to criticize
You
his...
got a tag.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any of that. But I love... he's a great speaker to me. He has great sermons and stuff like that. And from the research that I've done, this could be debated, but from the research that I've done, he only takes money from his book sales and not from the church. So that's up for debate.
To be a spiritual leader is to be a servant.
But why can't you be a servant with money? Are you gonna like if I get rich off of music and we are living in a big mansion
and I'm living
and you're dressed out in design or whatever nice things, are you gonna denounce those things because you're a spiritual person?
No.
So what's wrong with that?
But see, okay, so it's one thing, right? I never claimed to be a spiritual leader, so that's the difference.
You are to me.
Okay, yeah, to you, right? But it's like same thing with Wes Watson. He doesn't claim to be this like spiritual leader. He's a coach and a mentor, and he's made like good profit over this. And same thing with Lucas Mack. However, it's like for me, I could live like a great life, but the only way to get to that private jet status off of spirituality is to like do something bad. That's how I feel. I'm like, it is servant work, and anybody would tell you that. I'm sure even like, again, I know that Wes Watson is like, he's a fitness guru, he's a mentor, but like I could promise you just off of watching his videos that he would admit that like he's called to serve. So it's like,
well, what's wrong with making money off of it?
Okay, but again, that's where it's different. I actually think it's crazy that you're comparing me in question to Joel Osteen. Because it's different. It's
for sure.
fucking different.
Well, I get what you're saying is that on some level, when you commit to like large scale servant work, at that point, it's not about money and it's about giving away as much of your resources. Because I mean, it's interesting. Even people like Mr. Beast give away more money than probably Joel Osteen does. But we live in a world that money is important. Money, it makes your life more convenient, less convenient.
Oh, I can be a rich witch.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm getting at, though.
For sure. Like, I can be a rich witch, but
why can't you be a rich pastor? It's the same. It's the same thing in that money is important. And that money is important.
You're doing the thing where if you stare at it long enough, you kind of blur together.
Yeah.
You're doing that thing. You're blurring it together. There's no way.
I'm still not gonna stop watching Joel.
You can't be a rich pastor because to me, there's something a little bit predatory with the church, the mega church tithing, the missionary work, which I also don't believe in. Okay.
I don't either. But but question.
All that stuff.
If it was true that Joel Osteen only made his money off of book sales and doesn't take payment from the church, is he a bad guy or a good guy?
Well, I'm gonna fire back with this question. Was he wrong for not opening his church doors?
Oh, dead fucking wrong. Yeah, dead fucking wrong. Okay. But I'm not gonna. Yeah, but I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna base my moral compass on him making money based on that. Again, this is a nuanced thing. He definitely should have opened the church doors.
And if I'm going to look at Joel Osteen, I'm going to look at him from, is it Osteen or Austin? I don't give a fuck. But I'm going to look at him as a whole, okay? And that was the first one where I was like, no shit.
Yeah, that was a big red flag to me.
So, but see, check me out. So, the local servants, right? The preachers and the pastors that are local servants, you better fucking believe it. They open their church doors. That's the difference between a Joel and your pastor. So what? Guess what? The church paid for the floors.
Yeah.
The church paid for the floors.
Yeah. And I'm also, well, what I was going to say is that the church, okay, I think
you
that.
dead wrong for this.
No,
it's collapsing.
No, I'm not dead wrong for
Right.
enjoying his sermons. That's different.
No,
I think,
but supporting him as a whole.
well, I don't support him in any monetary way. I guess by playing his videos, I do on one hand, but I get a good message out of it.
What's so groundbreaking about his
It's not anything groundbreaking. I mean, I don't think that there's any spiritual speech on the internet that's been so groundbreaking. They're all just reiterating these principles in a fun to listen to way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's like listening to a Ram Dass speech, except Joel Osteen is rich as fuck, which I guess would be the big difference. The missionary work stuff is funny to me because I just definitely don't agree with that. But I think from these people that are so tied up in the idea that Jesus is the only way, that is important to them. They think that they are doing a service to the world by going out and doing missionary work.
Remember that one time I sat next to the Christian missionaries on the plane in New Zealand?
So good. So we sit next to, we're on a very small flight from one city.
By the way, I have a bad habit of sitting, God puts me next to literally the people that would hate me the most.
Yes, so funny.
On planes.
So we were on a small flight from one city in New Zealand to another, and Lynn sits next to this evangelical Protestant.
Yeah, so it was like this couple that, they're like, we're moving to New Zealand, and it was, a quick flight. Like, we just made it to New Zealand, and then we had to take another, like, short 1 hour flight. I was sitting next to them, and when I have plane anxiety, I just talk to the person next to me. If you guys have trauma with that, sorry, be nice to the people next to you that are trying to talk to you because they might have anxiety. Anyway, so I'm making conversation with these people.
And Lindsay also, when she's talking to strangers on planes, she just assimilates into whatever personality that they are, just to pry more of who they are out of them. It's not that she really cares what they think of her. She just wants to see how deep they go. Like if they're like really Christian or really like Trump or whatever, she'll just like feed it and just be it's like a game we play on flights.
Yeah, it is a game because I'll Trump
So
2024 my way into seeing exactly who the fuck I'm sitting next to. You feel me? Anyways, so I'm, asking them like, hey, like, what are you guys doing? Where are you going? And because, they're American, and they were like, we're moving to New Zealand. We're so excited. Finally, I said, oh, is it like a job opportunity? You guys, are you retiring? What is it? They were like, we're missionaries and we're opening a church. And in my head, I'm like, screaming. It's like I'm looking at them, I'm smiling, I'm like, oh yeah. And in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my fucking God, like, I hate this shit. You're the fucking problem. Anyway, so I'm just like, yeah, okay, awesome. As I clutch my tarot cards like in my purse, between my legs, and I'm like, great. So they were just telling me, they were like, they had to slip it into the conversation.
Oh yeah.
They had to slip it into the conversation. How do you and your fiancé feel about God? And I was like, we're, serious believers. I don't think I was convincing her because she said, if this plane were to go down, do you know where you and your fiance would go? Now, here's a pause. For the funniest part about this is I told our friend Mass.
I was just about to.
I told our friend Mass after when we got home, and I said, she asked me where we would go if the plane went down, and he said, I would have looked at the bitch and I said, the back of the plane is the safest place. I cracked up. Anyways, I was like, I looked at her, I was like, don't worry about my soul. Like, I know where it's going, which I don't fucking know. I think we just kind of...
Wish I could have been like, you bitch.
I think we just kind of formed back into this light ball, like a sphere. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm just like, how do I explain to her? I think we kind of just like rejoined the collective consciousness.
Here's a piece of advice. Whatever your religious beliefs are, don't make it awkward and push them on total strangers.
That was unbelievable.
Your job as a spiritual person, or if you have any practice or religion that you believe has made your life better, your job is to live in such a way and be such an example that people are drawn into you. You don't go shove it down their throat.
Yeah.
You don't criticize people, any of that. That is the biggest red flag with all religions.
That's what I love about Sarah, who, taught me. She always said it since the beginning. I live my life the way that I live my life. And if people ask me about my belief system because they like how I'm living, then I will open up as a good person, as a good Catholic, as a good Christian, as a good spiritualist. Like, I will open up my belief system and tell them about it. But other than that, leave people the fuck alone. And I think that that's a great way to live.
I have a confession. When I was in middle school,
Fuck.
I got into I got into church on my own in middle school. I had like kind of a tumultuous home life.
Blaming you.
Yeah, home life going on, and I was picked on in school, and so there was this youth group that I knew some kids that went to, and I just really liked the community because these kids were really nice, and most middle schoolers at that time were mean as fuck. So I got super into the church at the time, and I ended up going on mission trips, and I went on a mission trip. I went on a mission trip to Mississippi to this like native reservation.
You're fucking lying,
listen,
and you never told me this.
Listen. Okay, so we went and we were like building.
Who am I marrying?
Building something for them. Well, I've repented since then, but we were like building something from them, having Bible study and giving out food. And like when I look back on that experience, I'm like, God, we thought we were so righteous and like handing these people salvation. And really all we were doing was like dangling free food in front of their head and then being like, hey, but if you want the sandwich, you gotta listen to the sermon about Jesus. And it's like sad when I look back on it because I'm like, we felt so righteous at the time, and I'm sure that church still does that shit. But really what we were doing was like whitewashing and stripping these people from their cultural spirituality, and all in exchange of food.
So that's what's scary, is that that's been happening forever. That same dangling food in front of people to make them either believe or fake believe, or
fake believe.
That's been happening in violent ways.
Yeah, when I look back on it, I'm like, what we should have done was just gone and built them their structures that they needed built and given them free food. And then if they wanted to ask us on a personal level, like, what's your spiritual practice, that would have been one thing, but it could have been just a nice exchange of doing some sort of outreach. But I got kicked out of that church anyways, so.
Wow. Anyways, well, you know what? It's not mine to forgive you. So.
Yeah, what the hell? Let go of this judge. Let go of it. What the hell? I was 13.
Well, I think we talked about cults.
Yeah, to wrap it up, avoid anybody that's selling you on something unattainable, ascending to the 5D, elevating your level of consciousness for $12.99 a month, anything like that. Avoid it. Also avoid any group that thinks that it's really important for your ascension for you to cut off your family and loved ones. That was like a big ongoing theme.
Good point.
Because real spirituality, if you can't apply it to being a better family member, husband, mother, father, lover, brother, sister, if it doesn't extend to your home, then you really haven't done shit. Big point. I took some screenshots of some statistics.
Share them.
Yeah, there are 10,000 active cults in the United States.
Fuck.
Something like 5 to 6 million members. The lifetime prevalence of PTSD among adults that were in a cult. So among the lifetime prevalence of PTSD for just adults in America is 6.8%. It's not super high. But in cult survivors, 61% in men and 71% in women. Lifetime PTSD from being in a cult.
Be careful and wary of people that want to have power over you, and also be careful and wary even of friends that have the traits of cult leaders as well, because that is also scary. Be your own leader, and other leaders are not freaked out by other leaders.
Yeah, look for practical, applicable spirituality, because if your spiritual practices aren't improving your life, improving your relationships, improving your relationship with yourself, something's off.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for coming on this.
New cult coming soon.
Oh, fuck you. I love you. All right, thank you guys.